Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NAISCC Cup Series playoff racing action. It's the round of 8 here for our first round, for the first race for the second round here at Dover. It's going to be a blast to watch this second round. It is way more hectic than it was for the round of 16 because we are here at Dover, then Talladega next week, and that's how we finish out to figure out from when we go from 8 down to our championship 4. We're excited for this one. 180 laps here tonight as drivers of the NAISCC Cup Series are practicing right now for the next 5 minutes. Then we'll get to qualifying, then we'll race it out. But here tonight, got to give a big thanks to all of the major sponsors that allow this to happen. For Track Racer, Refined Gaming. Track Racer, if you are starting to make a racing rig, or if you have already got a rig and you want to help complete it, get yourself a Track Racer. Track Racer, they've got themselves racing rigs. They also are now having wheels, steering wheels for you to put onto your rigs. They help you in all different aspects of simulated racing and anything else you need simulated. Also, with the Track Racer, if you're wanting to get yourself a discount, go to the Facebook of the NAISCC guys, and they will actually get you a discount for Track Racer. Refined Gaming. Also, want to give a shout out to that of the Simbox Store. Simbox Store, they are some of the best sim boxes that you can get your hands on. They're handcrafted, they're made for you, the customers, and they're also made for all things simulators. Anything that you want, from flight simulator, farm simulator, I think you kind of get in the picture. If you throw a simulator on it, that Simbox can help you out. Go get yourself Simbox at the Simbox store, either on eBay or on Facebook. Again, look up Simbox store and tell them that Freaky Fast Broadcasting sent you there. And those are our major sponsors for the NAISCC Cup Series, as well as we got to give a big shout out to ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yourself a Gamer 2. Instead of hearing the sounds, why not feel the sounds, the rumbling of a V8 engine, or just feel the little rumbles of the ambient sounds of watching a video. Really, the Gamer 2 can enhance any video gaming scenario you're in, and if you want to get yourself a Gamer 2 with 20% off, use the promo code FreakyFast20. That's Freaky with 2 E's. FreakyFast20 for 20% off. ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing. As well as we got to give a shout out to the Makoni Setup Shop. It's our setups, but it's your victories. Makoni Setup Shop can help you get some of the best setups out there on iRacing, anything from Legends to Cup cars, as well as you can get some dirt on action. Makoni Setup Shops, they've got you covered. If you want to get yourself a 10% discount from the Makoni Setup Shop, use the promo code FFB10 for 10% off. Again, that's FFB10 for 10% off at the Makoni Setup Shop. As well, with the Makoni Setup Shop, you can get yourself some coaching from some of the best out there in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series, such as eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series champion Zach Novak, or from his teammate Jimmy Mullis, or the many others that are there with the Makoni Setup Shop. You can go get yourself an hour of coaching for $25. Just go to the website link of www.makonisetupshop.com/coaching. It's $25 for an hour of coaching with some of the best out there. Or you could put yourself in the giveaway that Freaky Fast Broadcasting's doing. We are giving away 1 hour free of coaching from the Makoni Setup Shop that we are putting out there for you, the fans. So there will be a link in the chat that you can go press, that you can go put yourself in the giveaway to get yourself 1 hour of free coaching for the Makoni Setup Shop. Again, it's our victories. It's our setups, your victories. Thank you so much to the Makoni Setup Shop. And we are now done with all the talking of the sponsors, and it's now to put you in the picture. Drivers here for the round of 8. We cut them down in half from the last round. We had 16. We're down to 8, and those 8 drivers that are battling it out for the championship and a chance for the championship, that is going to be Brian Johnson, Kyle Rochelle, Zach Hall, that of Cedric Hunter, Danny Cochran, Max Foner, Sean Huttstutler, and Jesse Thordick. Those 8 drivers for this race here tonight and going into next week at Talladega. Those 2 races, whoever is in the top 4 points after those 4 races will be racing for the championship race at Homestead. The pressure is now on. If you have an off week here tonight at Dover, you might be putting yourself in a must-win scenario at Talladega next week. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Robert Moyer. And Robert, there's a lot of pressure on tonight. The round of 16 ended last week at that of Richmond, where we saw that of Mark Whitley in a kind of a disaster situation for some, but amazing for us to watch. Exciting finish at Richmond. We're now here at Dover, a little bit of a calmer track in some people's eyes, but still just as tough.
Well, that is very true, Sam, and it is a tough track. They call it the Monster Mile for one reason. It will come out, it will eat you up, and it will spit you out. But that's what I'm expecting here tonight with these guys here. Like you said, we got 2 races here at Dover. Then we go to Talladega. We got 8 drivers trying to bid their way into the top 4 for Homestead. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to get heated faster and faster as laps wind down, and also as we go into next week. If nobody, wins, a playoff driver wins, Sam, that puts that pressure on there. And if a playoff driver wins tonight, they can go out in Talladega and try to push a teammate or just, relax or do whatever they want to do. But it's going to be something to watch. But last week at Richmond at the end, like you said, with Mark Whitley, got himself into a little bind, but he brings home the win. There was a lot of beating and banging out there going into turn 3 and 4. But I think the most exciting thing was last week, ladies and gentlemen, and you got to go back and watch it. Sam Dyer lost his mic.
I blew it out completely. I was yelling so loud, got so amped up that my microphone could not handle the energy I was putting out and actually was telling me to stop talking. It kept on muting me halfway through my sentences. It was madness last week. That is for sure. So I've got to figure out how to calm myself so you can still hear me at the end of these races. But Robert, qualifying is starting right now, about 4 minutes to go. We're here at the concrete of Dover. Miles the Monster, usually very hungry with these drivers, but I was looking at some of the notes the drivers were throwing out about this setup. Drivers are feeling they're liking this setup coming into tonight's race.
Yeah, I was reading some of the notes too. Well, not kind of reading them, but looking them over. And you're right. These drivers are going to like what they see out here tonight. They said the car feels pretty stable. And it looks, watching during practice, I've been sitting there watching in practice the whole time, and cars don't seem too bad. Now, you still got to really be careful, Sam, coming out of turn 2. Turn 2's got that little hump where you go down and you go up, and it can really off-balance the car to where that back end just gets light-weighted and wants to slide around. So it's all about throttle getting out of turn 2. Turn 3 and 4, you don't want to get back too fast into the gas pedal, because then you'll wind up hitting the outside wall and cause calamity, going across the start-finish line.
Yeah, we are not wanting to see too much calamity, but if we do see any drivers get into trouble, they do have a fast repair if needed. And I think a factor that we're also going to have to watch out for is tires. Drivers a lot more concerned about tire wear than they are even about their fuel window that they could stretch it out to. Some of the drivers were saying their tires were blowing up before they even got to the end of their fuel cells being empty. So that's going to be another thing to touch on later on here tonight. But we're halfway through qualifying, and you can see red on our ticker. Robert, we've got colors now.
We got colors. It's the rainbow shine something, whatever, ladies and gentlemen, you want to call it. But yes, we have colors, and you got to give Carlos over at 3Y TV. Yeah, I believe. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. 3Y TV. His name is Carlos over there. Me and him been working back and forth. He's another broadcaster. Make sure you go and check out his channel. He helped me with some coding and things like that, so I got to give a shout out to him, and I do much appreciate it. But like you said, we have color now, Sam. In the red, they're your playoff drivers, top 8. And if the driver locks themselves in that's in the playoffs, that red will go to yellow next week, and you'll know he's locked into the Final 4.
Final 4 is where you want to be at the end of the race, and here tonight the pressure is on not to falter at all. And looking at the points coming into this race, from first down to 8th, which is a 4 cars tied for that 8th place position, there is a 10-point difference between those drivers. And from the last 4 drivers that are tied to that 4th place position, it is 6 points is the difference between those guys. So a lot of pressure on who's going to be having a good run here and who's going to falter. And right now, Brandon Colley, top of the board, and what a redemption he is trying to go for. Could not make it to the next round, came up 3 points short from moving on into our round of 8 for that 42 team after a very struggle week that he had last week. Felt like he was just being tossed around, and that's how his season's been for the most part. But for most of these drivers that got knocked out of the round of 16, it's time to show up. Put yourself out there. And if one of these non-top 8 playoff drivers wins, that's taking away a ticket possibly for one of these playoff drivers that would have loved to get that pressure off from going into Talladega with worrying about points, because you don't want to worry about points going to a super speedway at all.
No. Oh my goodness. We've all, and our fans out there that watch this, we all know when you go to super speedway, real life or virtual side of things, it can be a nightmare. The racing is very, very strong. Cars are just bottled up against each other, and you're battling for every point that you can. It's not running, with your teammates when it gets down to the end. If you need that 1 point, you're going to go for that 1 point. which is one position. I mean, it can get that tight there, Sam.
It certainly can. Qualifying has come to a close, and it's going to be that of Brandon Colley getting the pole position, as here is our Simbox Store starting grid. It's going to be that of the 42, Brandon Colley, top of the board, with that of Brian Johnson to his outside. Row 2 is going to be that of Mark Whitley and Tom Sinchak. Row number 3 going to be Cedric Hunter and Nick Crawford. James Tremmel going to be back in 7th position, and 8th going to be finding that Martin Morales. Kyle Rochelle in 9th position with Danny Cochran in 10th, with that of Maurice Gomillion in 11th place, with Aaron Kralik in 12th. 13th, find Trevor Earhart, as well as the Professor in 14th of the 94th, Sean Hudstutler. Nathan Soren going to be in 15th position, with Dakota Moniz in 16th. Jesse Thordick in 17th, with Zach Hall in 18th, Thomas Walter in 19th, Ryan Bird finishing out our top 20, and the rest of our 4 drivers going to be that of Max Foner, Adam Westfield, Ryan Ferraro, and Tyler Dangler. And looking at this field right now, I think the biggest shock for everyone, Jesse Thordick, Zach Hall starting back in 17th and 18th place, as well as Max Foner back in 21st. These playoff drivers back in the field. And here at Dover, if we find a wreck, it is quite difficult, and you're kind of crossing your fingers for some luck that you don't get caught up into it if you're further back in the field.
Yeah, I agree, Sam. This has kind of caught me off guard here. With them two starting in the back, I don't know if that's strategy. Maybe they're doing something that, that we don't know about. Because that's odd. That's odd to see Zach Hall way back there. And Jesse, 2 playoff contenders. But, we got 24 cars going to be gridding here tonight at Dover International Speedway. And you said that there's only 10 points difference from Brian Johnson down through. 24, man, if you wind up falling to the back of the field, them 10 points can become very crucial if you wind up having to race for points and you're not in the contention for the win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't want to be put in a must-win scenario going into Talladega, where I've been watching a lot of super speedway races with this current Cup car air package. Into next week, it's going to be a lot of the driver that's in front most likely is going to win that race unless they get spun around. You want to make sure that if you're going into Talladega, you don't have to gain too many points, or hope that you win here at Dover. So when you go into next week, the pressure is off for one of these 8 playoff drivers. But the pressure certainly is on for a lot of them, as the unknown is going to be overhead on will they be able to survive. Again, this is 180 laps. Stage 1 going to be at lap 80 for these drivers. But for the NAISCC Cup Series, the Dover 180 is green as the drivers come around the bend. Throttles down. It's going to be Brandon Colley trying to move, and a great shove by the 8 of Sinchek into that of Johnson. Side by side, the Cat 5 drivers of Johnson and Colley.
As they take it out of turn number 2 here, side by side, we got Mark Whitley falling in line here. We got Tom, and we back here with Nick Crawford in that number 11, trying to work his way around James there in that 20. And it looks like our top 6, 7 here is going to get single file on the first lap here.
For the Cat 5 drivers, there was a lot of discussions for the both of that of Johnson and Colley and the other drivers trying to get that team settled down. They've been the most dominant team all season long of Category 5. They've won over 80% of the races that have been ran this season. And with last week's race, Johnson finishing practically last, it put that of Brandon Colley outside of the top 8 in points after a mix-up on that final lap. That pushed a lot of drivers out of positions that you thought if they raced clean, they would have been in. But right now, the field single filing out here quickly. I think everyone's recognizing, hey, it's going to be a long race, and you don't want to burn up these tires too soon.
Well, that's it. We're on concrete, Sam. These tires are going to get chewed up very fast. I know this is something we need to talk about, and you did note on it at the beginning of the broadcast. They really got to watch their tire wear here. After doing a big fuel run, they have a possibility, like you said, blowing some tires out, and that's the last thing you want to do is blow out your right front tire.
And Tremmel in the 20, stuck on the high line, losing positions as the train that's on the inside, they are moving quick. Also, Nathan Soren going to be stuck on the high side, but he's trying to make that outside line work as he's going to muscle his way by the 44, but stay side by side as now out of Soren, boxed in. Will he force it 3 wide? He's going to be ducking low. 3 wide. What a risky move there as Zach Hall was right behind that madness, almost catching up as drivers starting to move their way forward. And you're seeing some fall back. James Tremmel, what a great qualifying run for himself. Qualified in 7th, but just in the first 6 laps, he's gone from 7th back to 17th.
And that's it's like super speedway racing. You get freight trained. You're on the high side and you got a whole bunch of cars down below you there, Sam. You're just going to get freight trained, but you can calm down. You can wait for that opening and then get back in line and just ride. A lot of people love this track, but a lot of it is that you just got to ride. And like I said, not burn off your tires and try to keep tire wear. Tire wear is just going to be a very, very key thing here tonight. And if we stay green flag, it's going to get very interesting to see if any of these guys pop a tire, which could, depending on where you pop it at, which 9 out of 10 you pop them, Sam, it's in the turn. It's going to slide you up into the wall, and this track is not a self-cleaning track. If you wind up into the wall on a wreck, you're going to come back down into the middle of the track, and praise the Lord that no one's coming along with you.
Yeah, and we're starting to see some drivers trying to attack on the high side. And the drivers that are on the outside moving, they are really being aggressive on the entries of these corners, using up their tires a lot more. Expect to see Nathan Soren and a couple other drivers that were being aggressive in these first 10 laps lose a lot of ground here in the next 5 laps or so. Here at Dover, it takes about 10 to 15 laps when you start to see drivers having some issues as Soren wiggling that back bumper out of 2, still trying to hold on as we're on board with the 25. But Trevor Earhart running a different scheme than usual. A lime green 25 here tonight, really showing off where the 25 is.
He says, look at my hair, it's very shiny. Yeah, it's weird. Normally we don't see him with a lime green car out there. I actually kind of like it. So if anybody's colorblind and you miss this thing, man, it's lime green, man. It's bright.
Yeah, he's got the bright lime green with that yellow mixed in with it. Having some fun out here as drivers late in the season coming out with a great showing. Nathan Soren, he's going to be falling back to the clutches of Gomillion, Morales, of Moniz, and of Hall, as we're starting to see a lot of drivers falling back. And those drivers, the ones that use up their tires a ton, and having that great grip early on can be so deceptive of drivers feeling like they can be Superman in those first couple of laps, but it just comes back to hurt them as Soren trying to hold on as the pressure is on at this course. Dover, especially coming on the entry and exit of these corners, it is a funnel for a lot of these drivers, and it's got to be terrifying as the 05 into the outside wall and almost coming back up into the track into that of Thomas Walter. Got to be careful of these drivers now later on as we're seeing the 05 fall back. The drivers up front are making some moves. Brian Johnson, he is back to his dominant ways, just trying to pull away from Mark Whitley and Brandon Colley as they our top 3. They are practically gone from the rest of the field. For that of Brian Johnson, he's been Mr. Dominant for most of the season, comes in with the most wins for himself, but Mr. Under the radar. I think this 13 Hello Kitty machine, Cedric Hunter, for me, for most of the season, he's got his 1 win earlier in the season back at North Wilkesboro, but I would say from all the Category 5 drivers, Cedric Hunter has to be the one that's been under the radar, even though he's got probably the most colorful scheme of them all.
Yeah, I don't think running Dover is Cedric Hunter's favorite track, I guess, what I'm trying to get at, Sam. He runs good here, but he just hasn't ran very good here. So, yeah, he is a driver that we want to pay attention to and see exactly how he figures out this track here, as his teammate Brian Johnson right now is just gone. And this is all about saving tires. You noted on it, Sam, a couple laps ago. We've seen the 05 fall back. Well, 10 to 13 laps into this run, yeah, you can run this thing and be fast and feel like Superman, but the minute them tires plateau, trust me, it goes, and it goes fast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's going really fast. We could take a look at what the last lap times were because it is a major difference. Brandon calling into the outside wall, into the inside wall, spinning on the apron. No yellow comes out. Disaster for the 42 strikes again. But this time, it wasn't someone else making contact. It was the car and the tires getting too tight off the exit. Colley's losing ground quickly.
I don't know what to say for that poor guy.
I mean, for tonight, it's going to be a lot of drivers. That outside wall is going to be the most dangerous thing all race long. But for the season as a whole, it started off with Colley being caught up in a wreck and an incident on pit road with Nathan Soren. And it has continued on with his poor luck almost every single race. I think the best streak we've seen the 42 have had to be week 3 to week 7 of the races, where he climbed his way from 32nd in points all the way up to 11th in points. But then it's just been a downhill cycle ever since, and it really never has found his grasp to stay in a good position, to stay consistent. We're on board with Zach Hall, who's now moved up to 13th when he qualified all the way back and did not even put a time back in 18th position. He's been Mr. Slow and consistent here, not trying to push the car too hard here.
No, I think he's just trying to ride it out for the first stage. I don't know if these guys really want to battle for stage points. I mean, I guess you would, right, Sam? I mean, every point matters, so you got to get your stage points. Could help you in the playoffs. And I'm shocked to see Zach this far back. I don't know what his strategy is, or if he just doesn't feel comfortable yet with the car. That could possibly be it. That he's waiting, hopefully, to get more rubber put down on the track, and get the car a little bit more tighter. I do know on the note side, I don't think he wants it to get a little tighter. Zach is the type of driver, Sam, that he likes a loose car. Always has, always will. The looser it is, the faster he is.
I mean, the saying is the loose car, fast car. As most of the time, when you've got a tight running machine, it is only going to get worse as the run moves on. You got a loose car, you've got the potential of it tightening up the longer the run goes on, and you just getting faster as the run goes on. So for a lot of these drivers, the concern was, hey, this is a balanced car, but the longer the run goes on, the tighter it can get, and also the more grip that gets placed onto this racing surface. The concrete likes to tighten up the more and more grip that these guys have. And coming into this race, they already had about 30% usage, 50% usage going into practice, and that's been carrying over from qualifying into this race. So the drivers, they're expecting this thing to just get tighter and tighter as the run goes on. Danny Cochran got to be watching out as he's got himself and Martin Morales side by side. Morales, what a run for himself. Great qualifying time for the 24, who's been running up in the top 10. This is a rarity to see for that of Martin Morales, but in the first 20 laps, 25 laps, he's done a great job staying in the top 10.
And he looks very clean. He's running the high side. He's pinched up there from Danny running the high side. As he's got the professor looking to run underneath him. Oh man, wow! Did you see the professor slide there?
Oh yeah, he came in a little bit too strong into the corner. Contact though could be made. Oh no, Martin Morales and the professor Sean Hutzstutler. Contact made on the straightaway. It looked like the 24 bounced off of the wall, got a little loose, and collecting the 94, bringing out our first yellow of the day.
Wow. And that's a playoff driver, too. Now, granted, they do got a fast repair, but you never want to use your fast repair 28 laps into a race.
Yeah, not even done with stage one. Stage one, you got to be at the end of lap 80. Here's your Freaky Fast broadcasting replay. You're going to see the 24 on the outside just graze the outside wall, and that once you hit the wall, you're kind of in no man's land, and yeah, it goes back into the 94, and a little bit of a brush for that Martin Morales as we see the Ally banner, but both drivers really scraped up. Mainly rear end damage goes to Sean Hutzstutler and some side pod damage, but that should be able to get repaired under this yellow. But Oh man, the timing of this caution is kind of what we've been seeing all season long. 20 to 50 laps into a race, we start to see yellows coming out. And the trend that we've been seeing a lot this season is if the drivers that come in early to take tires are usually the ones that are placed in the best setup late in the run. And we saw only our top 12 staying out on track. Brian Johnson, Mark Whitley, Nick Crawford, as well as that of Brandon Colley, all into pit road to get service done. Brian Johnson, once again, doing something different from Zach Hall and Cedric Hunter. Last time we saw this was back, I believe, at Las Vegas. And Brian Johnson got an easy cruise to be running up front and practically won that thing with ease.
That's interesting. It's an interesting call. I want to get a shout out to, we got David Funky Comedine out there on YouTube tuning in again here every Saturday night. Thank you for tuning in. And we also got our co-commentator Hunter Hayward out there on YouTube. Thank you, gentlemen, for tuning in. Hopefully you're enjoying tonight's race and watching to see what these guys can do. But yeah, Sam, is this a good call coming in on lap 28 to get tires and fuel?
Well, drivers come into this race with only 3 sets in pit road. So now you're going to be putting yourself in a spot where you're hoping this race will stay green to the most part. But now's a question mark of, you're good till the end of the stage, which will be at lap 80. But the question is, after that, will you use a tire set at that mark or later than that? It's not the worst case scenario, but if we have a late caution with the trends that we saw a lot last week of late cautions, these drivers that just took tires now could be placed in a situation where they will be on a deficit of the tires late in the run. But if we stay green, these drivers that stayed out for that did not take tires this time they will be most likely finding themselves going a lap down as the pace truck pulls off. Cedric Hunter, Thompson, Kyle Rochelle, Aaron Kralik, as well as that of Danny Cochran, your top 5, as they're coming out of turn number 4. It's a little bit of shuffling. It's always fun to see what strategies are going to be made as Cedric Hunter going to be moving up early a little bit as we are green into turn number 1. Top 3 single file out. Danny Cochran, Aaron Kralik, side by side for 4th.
As they battle side by side for 4th, I got to give all these guys credit for getting that start there, Sam. Cold tires, worn down tires. I've probably seen about 8 cars spin their tires, and they kept it straight and kept it going. But man, it could have been calamity. But
oh my goodness, Mark Whitley is flying. The 77 has gone 3 wide 2 times already. He's doing it again. Back battling for 5th place is Mark Whitley. Fresh tires, and he's being aggressive, pushing the 77. Is just going for it on this fresh rubber. Here comes that Brian Johnson being just as aggressive. The drivers with fresh tires are making the move. Johnson to the inside, and now making the move for 5th place. The 28 leading the drivers with fresh rubber.
I don't know if anybody's sitting actually. If you're, I hope you're watching this, but look at the difference in speed. Oh my God, it's like 30 miles per hour faster than anybody. I mean, just look at this.
Yeah, no, for the drivers that stayed out, they are now banking on a caution to come out in the next 15 to 20 laps, because if it does not, they're going to be finding themselves going a lap down. They're 3 wide for 2nd place. Johnson on the outside, making the move up to 2nd and right on the back bumper for the lead. Johnson through 3 and 4. He makes the pass. Back to the point is the 28.
Wow.
It's easy when you've got the grip and rubber to run any lane you want, because everyone else is practically standing still. It's just that easy. I mean, our leaders right now running about 1.5 seconds faster than the rest of the field. They were running that while going through traffic. I'm imagining to see that of Johnson running about 1.5 seconds faster than the drivers that did not take tires. And if you're running 1.5 seconds faster in just 5 laps, you find yourself in the lead for that of Johnson and Whitley. And now we'll see in the next 10 to 15 laps if they're going to be on the back tail end of the drivers that did not take tires in just a blink of an eye.
Wow. That's all I can say.
2 seconds faster. He's flying right now than everyone else.
This is ladies and gentlemen, if you don't play this game or sit inside and do this and you watch, when I say this in really, really sincere. 2 seconds faster than somebody on the track is crazy. You got to be inside the car on how fast you're going by somebody and just blowing. I mean, you're literally blowing by them. That's crazy. And Sam, we're gonna have to see how this all plays out, like you said, because you got some drivers that did not pit. You have some drivers that did pit. So once that stage break comes out, they go in and get tires. Do the guys that got tires, do they get tires again? Which then will leave them down, what, 1 set compared to everybody else's 2 sets? Well, you already see how tires are just so demanding here. I mean, fresh tires to old tires is, it could be 3 laps to go and you'll blow through the field like nothing.
Yeah, and looking at the drivers so far, I mean, we're still seeing drivers with fresh rubber trying to cut their way through the traffic of drivers that did not pit under our first yellow, which there's still a shot of a calamity happening as we're halfway through stage 1. We got to keep our eyes open on if an incident happens. It might be in the middle of the field where we see that of Nathan Soren, Ferraro, Westfield, Thomas, Walter, as well as Sean Hutzstetler, still trying to get their way through this traffic with their fresh rubber. And as well for that of Ferraro and for Hutzstetler, they manually repaired. They've got some slight damage to work with, but here at Dover, it's more of their engine than it is more of if your engine is still running at full power with the damage that you got, you're good. You can have some scrapes and bumps because aero-wise, it's not as big of a factor as it is making sure your engine is at full power.
Very true, very true. As we ride along here with Adam Westfield, coming out of turn number 3 and 4 there to across the start-finish line. We're going to do a quick ride along here with him, and you'll be able to see how he gets around here at Dover International Speedway or Raceway, whatever they want to call it nowadays. They probably changed it on me.
Just swapping it around.
Yeah.
Here on iRacing, it is the Dover International Speedway, so drivers certainly still putting themselves out there for the best shot that they can. But drivers hoping that they don't get into any incidents with drivers on much faster tires, and oh no, troubles for one of our playoff drivers. Max Foner's been gone for a while. He has now officially got a lap down. Oh no, Max Foner could be getting disconnected currently.
Oh no, and that's, we noted on it at the beginning of the broadcast. You know, if he can't, he's already a lap down. He's going to go multiple laps down here, Sam. If he doesn't get back out on the track, he's going to have to go into Talladega for a win. And he's going to have to battle off the whole field because he doesn't have no teammates. Yeah.
Just got a report from that of Max Foner. It sounds like his screen just went black on him, and he is now just disconnected with internet issues. So I'm wondering if he's going to be able to come back in, and when he does, he's already 3 laps down. It might put Max Foner possibly 6 laps down. He's going to need a lot of caution to get back into the mix of things, as we still have a total of 23 drivers still on the lead lap. As I say that, though, Tyler Dingler goes down. Johnson is just cruising his way, and he's caught the back half of the lead pack.
Come back here to the backpack. Yeah, you can see right there goes Brian Johnson, Mark Whitley, starting to put people a lap down. And his next goal here is his teammate here, Brandon Colley. I would imagine he's just going to get out of the way, coming here, turn through 1 and 2, and let him have the line. And yes, he does. So unfortunately, Brandon Colley had a great qualifying, and he's going to wind up going a lap down. Oh no, I guess he says, you know what? Teammates or not, I'm battling you, sir.
I'm going to battle as hard as I can. Saw a lot of bumping going on at the end of Richmond between teammates of the Category 5 guys at the end of Richmond last week. And been hearing that the drivers were trying to spend all week trying to make sure that team was on the same page coming into Dover and the rest of this thing. And there might still be a little bit of aggression from the teammates. It might not be as easy passing guys, but hey, I mean, right there, still clean. And Gomillion now going into pit road. We were told drivers on these older tires the window for the tires was looking anywhere from 60 to 70 laps with the timing of that caution. Might be able to go around 75 laps of fuel. They can go 75 to 80 when we were going fully green. With that pace coming out, they should be fully good to make it fuel-wise to the end. But I don't know if tires are going to allow some of these guys to make it to the end of this stage. Still 30 laps to go in stage number 1.
And you're right, you noted on it, Sam. Fuel, you can go longer on fuel course than your tires, and I don't think your tires are going to match your fuel strategy. Unfortunately, it's not at Dover. It's just not going to happen. They're going to have to make a pit stop before they blow out a tire and bring out a yellow and be the cause of a yellow, which then could wreck some other cars depending on where it happens. You just don't want to be that guy. But now watch the number 44 on his speed compared to everybody else. He will blow by Brian Johnson within the next 2 laps here.
Yeah, the difference right now, 20 laps, a little bit over 22 laps is the difference between the 44 and our leader. So Gamillion, goal, trying to lap himself, as right now Gamillion's going to be finding himself 3 laps down, so trying to make himself only 2 laps down with this pass that he's going to make on the inside. And luckily, great communication of the 44 closing up on the 28. There was no wrecking between the leader and the lap car, but I mean, Robert, for us on Freaky Fats Broadcasting, tire speculation of are you able to make it or not on tires is something we always talk about Sunday nights for the Sim Racing Unleashed series. It's always drama with those guys on how the tires are going to be reacting. We kind of get a little bit of a taste of that here tonight, as our hands are up in the air for some of these drivers that did not pit under our first caution around lap 30. Wondering if these drivers that stayed out, have they saved enough of their tires to make it to the end of lap 80, where stage 1 will come to a close?
And that's the that's the big question there that you just said. Can they make it to the stage break on this set of tires? You know they could do it on fuel. The question is tires. It all depends on how hard you ran the car there, Sam. I mean, if you ran it hard the first 10, 15 laps, I don't see it happening. If you babied that thing all the way around the track like a Cedric Hunter and the number 5 here of Dakota, you know, you baby it, I would imagine, and you'd be able to stay on the lead lap, I would imagine that you'd be able to save the tires out. Hopefully. I could be wrong, but we'll see around lap 78, 79, or 80.
Yeah, for sure. Top 9, all the drivers that pitted during our first caution. Leading the drivers that did not pit is going to be Cedric Hunter in 10th position. But, you know, something that we haven't really touched on that much is at the end of stage 1, only the top 5 get bonus points. And looking at where our playoff drivers are at, we've got that of Brian Johnson in first place, but then the next playoff driver is all the way back to 9th, where you find Cedric Hunter and Kyle Rochelle, as well as Sean Hutsteller back in 12th. I mean, we're seeing a lot of the other competitors who are supposed to be battling for this championship back 9th or further back than that.
Yeah, well, Brian Johnson, like you said, he's the only one in the top 5 that's in the playoffs. So, and he's got a 10-point advantage right now. Well, he is in the lead. Does he got a 10-point advantage right now over Kyle Rochelle?
Now he would have himself an 8-point advantage over Denny Cochran, who is that driver that's at that bubble spot. So with this and where Denny Cochran's running, I mean, just based off of bonus points, would give himself even a bigger bubble.
Yeah.
And for Brian Johnson, he came into round number 1 with absolutely no fears of, if he had a bad race, it was okay. He had like a 20 or 40 point bubble going into round number 1. Round 2, certainly it got diminished and kind of reset with everyone else. But still, the 28, with his dominance that he's had, we've seen it be consistent where during most of the race, the 28's been the fastest car. But the question is, once we get later in these runs, once late cautions bubble through, that's when we see other drivers come in and try to steal that win away for Brian Johnson.
And I just want to side note on something real quick, and maybe I can change it. Did they change their spoiler color for the playoffs to pink or purple?
I don't believe that they did, but
has it been
I think
color?
it's. I mean, it's been blue. Oh my goodness. If we move up to Brian Johnson, he has got a hornet's nest of drivers to try to get by. He has caught the field of drivers that did not pit. He's got Jesse Thordick, Zach Hall, Earhart, James Tremmel, as well as Denny Cochran and Aaron Kralik, all in this line. And you got to be careful. They're 3 wide. Go Millions forcing the issue. Hall. Also, Jesse Thordick into the wall. Playoff drivers, issues. As a non-playoff driver, forces the problem.
Wow.
And,
wow. Fresh tires versus oldie tires, like I call it. And there is the calamity. Yes, we did not bring out a yellow there, Sam, but that is that's huge. That is huge.
Yeah, and that's sliding habit for Zach Hall and for Thordick. They're both going to have a little bit more wear and tear than they wanted to have moving forward. And still, the wall of drivers are still in the way of Gomillion and for that of Brian Johnson. They have to get by as we're coming up to 15 laps to go in stage 1. Those lap cars are still going to be a major issue to watch out for as Hall and Thordick battle around. And, you know, I was taking note of some of the drivers coming into this round of 8. I got to say, the biggest underdog of all the drivers coming in had to be Jesse Thordick. I mean, he comes in with the least amount of top 10s and top 5s. Only 1 top 5, 2 top 10s coming into this round, 0 wins. I don't believe he's got 0 pole positions.
Yeah.
The 14 kind of snuck his way into the round of 8. But, man, with some of the issues that we saw from Max Foner and now being collected with Zach Hall, that's a couple of drivers that you can find yourself battling with, and you find any other drivers having poor luck throughout the rest of this race, and maybe some drivers caught up in the big one next week. You can find Jesse Thordick sliding his way through into our final 4, and still the biggest underdog, probably the longest, shot to get into our championship 4, but he's still trying as he makes the pass on Zach Hall.
Trying to think about like what you said there about Jesse, Sam. You know, it goes to show you that you do not need to win every race to make it into the playoffs. Yeah, he's got the lowest underdog, I do believe, in the top 8 here, but he finished his races. He made it in there for a reason. Staying out of trouble, staying out of wrecks, getting good finishes when, top 10 finishes. When other drivers were having their problems and issues, so, bravos to that team though. You got to give them props to make the top 8. So,
yeah, that's going to be Jesse Thordick from Larson Lane Motorsports, as well as other drivers that have been a part of that team. You've got Martin Morales. I don't know why I keep on saying Martin Morales. I've got names. I was struggling with names yesterday with the different broadcasts I was doing. Still struggling with names, it seems like, as Moniz is on that team. Also Aaron Kralik on that Larson Lane Motorsports team. Going into next week, we're going to be talking about these teams a lot more. But what was interesting for me looking into all the playoff drivers, there is only one team, Category 5, that comes in with multiple drivers in a team coming into the round of 8. All the other drivers are just one driver from their team that was able to move on into that round. As Category 5 has 3 drivers currently in this round of 8.
Which means other teams can play dirty if they want to, Sam.
Whoa, Cedric Hunter out of control into pit road possibly, and he misses pit road.
Oh, no.
Trying to slow down was the 13 to get into pit road. A miss. He was either go into the water barrels or make another lap around. And he's going to go take another lap around, take another shot possibly into pit road. Maybe this time for the 13, but disaster for himself. He was running inside of the top 10 at one moment, but continues to fall back. Now going to give it another shot into pit lane. Oh, no. Oh, able to hold on at least.
He fishtailed it.
That is probably the best showing. This pit road entry, so dangerous. It kind of fools you on how you want to enter pit road, and also shows all the drivers out here questioning, can they make it? Zach Hall, who's already in pit road. 13 going to get service done. Anyone else coming in? Aaron Kralik into pit road. So these drivers cannot make it looks like, based on tires, those that did not pit, which means they could be going anywhere from 2 to 3 laps down.
This is going to get very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And also, To note on that real quick, Sam, on pit road, Dover is one of the toughest pit roads in the NASCAR circuit to enter.
Yeah, whenever I think of hard pit roads get on, I think of Dover and also Darlington. I think those are the two major ones that I always think of drivers always overshooting their coming pit entry and going into the water barrels and ruining their day that way. But man, for a lot of these cars, I mean, for that of Cedric Hunter, with missing pit road and having to go around again, and for Zach Hall, who came into pit road, both drivers issues, Tom Sinchek. Issues again. We're just seeing every one of our top drivers of the season having issues of green flag pit stops, but he's in pit road as here comes that Brandon Colley into pit lane.
I need. Do we need to set a camera right at pit road entrance and just watch everybody come in?
At this point, it might be the safest thing to see what drivers are truly having the biggest issues out here. As Kyle Rochelle leading the drivers that have not pitted so far this race in 9th place, but we'll see if the one has to come into pit road. Oh my goodness.
I think Kyle should be okay. It's all about, he's got the fuel to do it, Sam. We just have to watch and see to make sure he has tire to do it. That's my worry, man.
Looking at drivers, I think Trevor Earnhardt might have blown a tire. He came really slow through 3 and 4 that last time go around, and into turn 1 he just slowed down completely, went on the apron for basically a complete lap, and now into pit road. Oh man, a late caution can ruin a lot of these drivers' shots of making it into the next stage, but we are now coming to the white flag of stage number 1. Some drivers coming into pit road. Robert, what madness here late in the showing. But it's been Brian Johnson, Mr. Consistent, here tonight as he comes across the line. And you're seeing drivers on fresh rubber trying to make the pass, trying to unlap themselves so they're only just a couple of laps down instead of multiple. Zach Hall now only 2 laps down for himself. He's most likely going to have to stay out, take a wave around, and bank on himself. Possibly trying to only be 1 lap down. White flag at stage number 1. That of Brian Johnson coming out of turn number 4. And stage 1 comes to a close as we wait for our final 5 to come across the line. That's going to be Adam Westfield, should be that last driver, but whoo, drama here as stage 1 comes to a close. Danny Cochran gets out of shape for a second in front of our leader. Oh, that could have been disastrous, but everyone holds on.
Oh man. I think everybody think I had drama, man. Wait till the end of this thing.
It doesn't end. They just keep on crazy.
These guys are giving us a heart attack up here, week in and week out. I literally sit here, Sam, and my brain actually goes blank, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm so focused on the race of what's going on that I forget what to even talk about.
I mean, after lap 30 at this point until the end, everyone is going to be on such different strategies, and it's going to continue on because there's just not enough tires for this field to really all get on the same set unless we see everyone take tires here. But we're expecting all the drivers that just pitted just about 5 to 8 laps ago, they're all going to have to come to pit road. As Moniz sliding his tires coming into pit road. Got to be careful not get caught speeding, especially under yellow. That would be a foolish thing to do for the 5.
Well, not only that, it's under yellow. I can understand if we're under green flag. I get it, but under yellow.
I mean, if we get held under yellow, you might see Moniz able to still come back from it, but oh man. Well, everyone is coming in that's on the lead lap, it looks like, into pit road. So for those drivers that are making their first pit stop, such as Kyle Rochelle and also Sean Hudstotler, they're going to be getting themselves, Danny Cochran, you can also throw in that mix of drivers. They're going to be able to get some repairs done. Oh my goodness. I just saw the 2 use his fast repair.
Oh, no.
I mean, he had a lot of damage, but
we still got 100 laps to go.
I'm wondering, maybe he got some extra damage that he wasn't expecting on. I mean, he's got some rear end damage. And when drivers had some issues there. Oh, he hit the tire barriers coming into pit road, actually.
Under yellow.
under yellow.
Sorry.
He came flying trying to catch up to the tail end of this group. And he tried to get onto the throttle. He tried to get on the brakes, and it did not work for himself. Also hearing
And
radio chatter.
What's to say that you say there, Sam, with Danica Patrick?
Well, if you're going to Danica Patrick wrecking school, you wreck yourself when you're trying to wreck someone else. But for that, Danny Cochran was not trying to wreck someone else.
No, but I just wanted to hear your...
certainly came out and ruined his day.
I just wanted to hear your phrase, man. That's it. I guess get ready, everybody. If you start hearing some Danica Patrick jokes, you know why.
Oh, man. If you want to hear me absolutely go after one of the drivers on it just came out. I did not even like it. Just, oh man, it's just one of those things where you just don't expect something to happen. One of the drivers tried to wreck another one after the race was over Thursday night for
totally
the Stars and
missed.
Stripes series. Well, it didn't miss. I mean, it was a great contact. It was just he found himself wrecking himself instead of wrecking the car in front of him.
Very true, very true.
You're seeing a pile of cars in front of our leader. Going to be trying to get themselves at least one lap back. That's going to be that of Brandon Colley, Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, as well as that of Trevor Earhart, Tom Sinchek, Tyler Dengler, and Aaron Kralik, all trying to get some laps back for themselves. For Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, they're going to be putting themselves only one lap down, while everyone else that's out there, they're just trying to get themselves back to only 2 laps down. The drama certainly came in, and drivers that were able to save their tires put themselves in a really good spot. I mean, looking at the guys such as Kyle Rochelle, James Tremmel, Danny Cochran, those 3 drivers, great, fabulous positions for themselves, except for Cochran, who finds himself with using up his fast repair. He cannot get involved in any more wrecks, as our top 5 drivers, that of Nick Crawford, Mark Whitley, Ryan Johnson, Dakota Moniz, and Ryan Ferraro are top 5. Robert, it's now racing to the end, less than 100 laps to go. We know the tensions are going to rise, but I mean, if you're already a lap down at this point, you got to be banking on a quick yellow, which I don't know if we're going to be seeing one immediately.
Huh? I don't know. I really don't know, because Dover's the type of track that you can see it and you can't see it. So they showed patience at the beginning of this race, but the patience are 50-50 now. It's not 100%. And as we go farther into this, as the pace truck pulls off, that's going to go 20-75. Before you know it, you're going to be 90-10 on patience, and it's going to get nuts. But we're waiting to go green flag racing here, as the green flag is back out on lap 86 of 180. Off we go, Sam, to the end.
It's going to be the Dover 180. We race at the end. We're already 86 laps into this thing, and it's going to be Nick Crawford pulling away side by side is Mark Whitley and Brian Johnson for seconds to top 3, trying to pull away as fast as possible. Everyone else behind them, they're single file out for the most part. Until you find that James Tremmel, who was falling back to the clutches, possibly further back, as drivers picking and choosing. 13 drivers on the lead lap. We got a total of 23 still on the racing surface.
Along with James Tremmel here in the number 20 Simbox store machine, and you can see him running. And right now, like you said, first 10-15 laps, new tires, you feel like macho. You feel all the grip, and man, minute the grip goes, Sam, it goes. And these guys you'll start to see struggle either entering, center turn off, or exiting. And we'll have to see how they all play out. But I do got to give a shout out to Nick Crawford. He did have one whale of a pit stop to get himself up there into the lead, now running in second position.
Yeah, I touched on the fact that right when stage 1 yellow came out, that Brian Johnson was in a mix of a bunch of drivers and might have gotten some damage from that incident. Exactly what happened. Hard in the wall. I believe that's Soren of the 05. Hard into the outside wall coming out of turn number 2, and that is a hard lick for a driver inside the top 10. Soren, we've seen be aggressive at times, and you now got Sean Hutzstutler, who still one of the drivers after our first caution of the day, still has that damage that he's trying to repair. Had a little bit more that he's trying to get repaired that last time at the end of stage 1. 94 he is moving in the right direction, which is forward, but you look at his lap times, they are still pretty slow compared to the rest of our leaders in the top 7.
Very true, but you know what? You got to give him a shout out, though. He's got himself up into the top 10 with the damaged vehicle. So I would imagine he's holding this damage off, Sam, until his next pit stop. He'll go get his fast repair, 4 fresh sets of tires, and make a push for the win.
Yeah, I mean, for right now, you've got a real division of our 8 playoff drivers. You got 4 that are on the lead lap, 4 that are lap down, or you can even throw in Max Foner, one of the playoff drivers, out of this race. It is certainly starting to show where the lines are. Brian Johnson, Kyle Rochelle, Sean Hutzstutler, all in the lead lap, as well as Danny Cochran. The drivers that are lapped down in the playoffs, being led by Jesse Thordick currently, as well as you got that of Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall. Like we noted, Max Foner out of this race. He's going to finish 24th here tonight.
And that's a shame. So now we do know one playoff driver in the top 8. We're going to be leaving here at Dover that must get a win, and that's Max Foner. He has no choice. He's got to go for the win at Talladega next week. So we already know what his cards lay at there, Sam.
Yeah, early on, I already know that, as well as, the other 3 drivers that are lapped down, all of them still only 1 lap down. So if a quick caution comes out, maybe they'll think about just staying out there, taking a wave around, and then getting themselves back on the lead lap, or could be hoping for a lot of quick cautions to build up with one another. But this certainly is not the scenario you want to be placed in, especially because Brian Johnson is flying around this course. And he's running pretty fast, and pretty similar to how fast he was running earlier on, trying to catch the tail end of the lead lap to put these drivers another lap down if possible.
That is correct. All right, well, as this pit stop's finished off and they are on their stint to the next pit stop here, we're going to run to a quick commercial break, get our whistles wet, take a break, and we'll be right back with the conclusion of tonight's race here at Dover International Speedway with the NAISCC Cup Series here, brought to you by Simbox. You push our buttons. But we'll be right back here very shortly, ladies and gentlemen.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Makoni Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Makoni Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Makoni Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MakoniSetupShop.com and learn why Makoni Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the NAISCC Cup Series presented by the Simbox Store. You really push our buttons, as well as that of Track Racer, Refined Gaming, and ButtKicker. You feel what you've been missing. Also, in the chat, please go check out the link to get yourself a free 1-hour coaching from Makoni Setup Shops. Remember, it's our setups, but your victories from Makoni Setup Shops. It's round 2 of the playoffs of the round of 8, and these drivers have been really picking and choosing how they want to do strategies-wise, as we've got almost half the field a lap down because they didn't take tires during our first stage until the stage break, which put a lot of the guys a lap down. You see Westfield, it's very slow being passed by drivers, but it's been utter dominance from Brian Johnson, the driver with the most wins coming into this race with 6, trying to get his 7th, and it has been a struggle these last couple of weeks for Brian Johnson to get that win, especially through that first round of the playoffs. Thought maybe he could get it last week at Richmond, but with a late bump from Mark Whitley, who runs in 3rd currently here at Dover. Mark Whitley won at Richmond last week. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Robert Moyer here at Dover for the Dover 180. Robert, it's been dominance by the 28. What we were talking about, the different strategies. If a late caution or a caution comes out now and then another one comes out later, drivers that have an extra set of tires would be in a prime position. But for Brian Johnson and practically half the field, that would put him in a catastrophic danger because they've got to pick and choose when they want to use this final set of tires for themselves.
Yeah, and the last thing there, Sam, is the last thing you want to do is worry about tires. Especially after having a 30-lap, 40-lap run on a set of tires, and you decide not to take tires, you're a sitting duck. You're going to go a lap down. Just at 2 seconds per lap on fresh tires versus old tires on a 40-lap stent tires just doesn't happen, man. They're going to go a lap down unless you get a yellow right away.
Yeah, and while we were under yellow, Aaron Kralik decided to come into pit road 3 laps ago and finds himself with the freshest tires out here. Still has one more set to work with, but for that of Aaron Kralik, he's going to be cruising through this field, running anywhere from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds faster. For the 16 non-playoff driver, we've got 8 playoff drivers still hunting to find themselves into the round of 4 of the championship race at Homestead. This second round, for the round of 8, we were staring at it during the regular season and just scratching our head on how these Final 8 drivers can hold on to this pressure. I mean, you've got Dover here tonight, and then you finish out the round of 8 going to Talladega next week. I mean, for a lot of these guys here, Robert, I think a lot of them were dreading this round.
Oh, I would have dreaded. Look, Dover is my second home track. Been down to this track multiple times. Awesome racing in real life. But it is a tough track to race, Sam. Like I noted earlier in the broadcast, getting out of turn 3 and, turn 1 and 2, you got that little dip, and you can watch what the cars do. They go down, and then it just wants to lift right there, they come out, and if you're loose coming out, that thing's going to kick sideways or, you know, start wearing off that rear tires, and then we go to the tire thing, you know, what, like right there, Mark Whitley. See how that thing just kicked out? He does that multiple laps there, Sam. That's just hurting his tires worse and worse and worse. And tire wear here is the number one thing here at Dover.
Yeah, it is. We were talking to the drivers, and they actually told us your tires will blow before your fuel cell even gets empty. So drivers are a lot more concerned about when they need to come into pit road. And the window we were given from a lot of these drivers was 60 to 70 laps for tires, while fuel was around 75 to 80. So for the drivers that stayed out on this last for stage one, being that of Zach Hall, as well as Cedric Hunter, and as well as Tom Sinchak, Trevor Earhart, Tyler Dingler, and also Brandon Colley, those drivers are going to have to think about coming into pit road here in the next 20 to 30 laps. While the rest of the field, they're kind of in a similar spot, but Zach Hall, he's going to be one of the first drivers, and Cedric Hunter, they're going to have to come into pit road in the next 20 to 15 laps if they want to be making sure they can come into pit road. Luckily, they still have 2 sets of tires, but they're already a lap down for both, which is not where you want to be. You want to be that first car a lap down, which currently is Jesse Thordick, but soon we're starting to see that of Nathan Soren. He is being caught each and every lap. He is now got a 3-second buffer before that of Brian Johnson catches to his back bumper and puts the 0.5 a lap down.
Well, and then you got Jesse right behind him, which is pretty far behind Nathan there. So, I mean, if the yellow would come out and Nathan Soren would wind up going a lap down, all that's going to do is give him the lucky dog, and that still puts Jesse, Cedric, Zach, and all them guys in the back there in a position you don't want to be in. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know how this is all going to play out. We're on lap 126 of 180. It's mowing down pretty fast. The laps are coming down pretty fast, and there's certain things going through people's minds now, Sam, as driver-wise. You know where you're running at. You know what predicament you're in. You're trying to figure out how to get out of this predicament, like a Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall. And at the same time, if you can't get out of that position, I don't care what anybody says. They're already thinking of Talladega. What do they need to do? Because it's not looking like they're going to be battling for the win unless something majorly happens that can get them put back on the lead lap. And we're talking multiple yellows. Not one, not two. We're talking, I'd say, upwards to 5 yellows that they need to see to work their way from the back of the field to the front of the field, work through the traffic, get on the same set tires, same fuel, you know what I mean? So there's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, and then Robert, you've also got your favorite trend that you like talking about these last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
final 20 to 15 laps. You don't know if that late caution is going to be looming to put us in a close to overtime or even into overtime late in this race. As we're a bit on board with the one, looking at some of the other battles that are going on. Brian Johnson is finally caught up to the tail end of this group of the drivers that are a lap down, and soon to be catching drivers that are on the lead lap. But, you know, looking at this field currently, the window we're looking for that of Cedric Hunter and Zach Hall, they're most likely going to be pitting here in the next 15 laps, so around 145 might be their window of coming into pit road, while for that of Brian Johnson and the rest of the drivers that are in our top 10, top 12 and 13, we're going to be looking for the drivers that really push it as far as they can go. Around 160 to 165 might be their window to make their pit stop, which that is right at the cusp of maybe thinking about just figuring out how to gain time, and maybe with the late run trying to gain some time on these drivers ahead of you. A 2-tire pit stop with only 15 laps, that could be a very nice move to make here late in this race.
Yeah, very, very well said there, Sam. Basically, like Brian Johnson and them guys that's got 1 set of tires left, they got to run this thing as far as they can, because you don't want to pit early because of just tire wear, just in case you get that late breaking yellow with 20 to 15 laps to go, like we had our trend. That's going to put them in a very, very bad position So they have to run this thing as far as they can and pray that there will be no yellow or a late break trend yellow like we have seen here at Freaky Fast for the past, well, we might as well almost say a year now. No, but about a month here now, Sam.
Yeah, it's been going on for a while, and it's not only just for the NAISCC Cup Series. It's been going on everywhere. As Ryan Ferraro going to be coming into pit road for the 12. First of the drivers that are on the lead lap coming to pit road. Then Nick Crawford into pit road as well. Crawford and for Ryan Ferraro, both drivers deciding to use their final set of tires here on this pit stop.
I think it's too early. I think that is
too
early. Way too early. They're going to be a sitting duck. They'll probably finishing around in between 10th and 15th position in tonight's event if we don't have that yellow. So we'll have to see how that strategy all works out for them, as we got Danny all over that 5 there coming out of turn 4, pushing him down the front stretch, and it looks like he's going to be able to overtake him going into turn 1 here, Sam, and he should be able to clear him, and he does.
And here comes James Schrammel also battling. All 3 drivers battling for positions, 4th through that of 6th. And these drivers have been keeping themselves pretty sparse out from where they wanted to be. Sean Hutzstutler into pit road, as well as that of Cedric Hunter, as those drivers getting themselves some service done. The drivers that were inside of our top 13 before we started seeing these pit stops coming into pit road, there were only 3 drivers that were in a great spot tire-wise to make these pit stops here. That being Danny Cochran, James Trennell, and Kyle Rochelle. Everyone else in the lead, that pack in the lead laps coming into these green flag pit stops, they were about 10 to 9 drivers that only had 1 set left to finish out this race. And we're about to be seeing a lot of these drivers making their final pit stops here, possibly with their final set of tires. We've already seen, Robert, in our first stage 1, it is very difficult to get in pit road. We saw over 3-4 drivers having issues. And for Adam Westfield, he had a lot of smoke coming into pit road. Might have been issues for the 88 while he was coming in.
I wouldn't want to be in the car tonight, be honest with you, Sam. There's just a lot going on right now. I mean, you're battling for a win. You got to make sure that you're coming down to maybe your last pit stop under green. You got to get into what?
James Bryan into pit road. I mean, James Johnson into pit road. Oh my goodness! Our leader into pit road early, with about 40 laps to go. Oh my goodness!
Well, he's banking on a green flag race. I mean,
you have to be.
Yeah. Well, he's got no choice now. I mean, he's pitting. Here comes Mark Whitley. Same thing for Mark. Oh, this is going to get interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully everybody out there on YouTube is enjoying tonight's content here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting with Sam Dyer and Robert A. Moyer up here in the booth as we call all the action all week long. As we got stuff coming up here very shortly here, Sam, as we got Danny coming in. It looks like Adam's got a penalty he has to serve. So
it was an unsafe pit entry for the 88. He actually hit the tire barriers, got caught speeding, and the 2 might have got caught speeding as well, flying into pit road.
Uh-oh.
Danny Cochran, one of our playoff drivers. This could be disastrous for the 2. He was on the lead lap, one of the drivers that was in a great position. You cannot get caught speeding. Currently, Ryan Ferraro, the only driver that's been caught speeding, as well as it looked like Cedric Hunter might have been caught speeding for the 13.
Wow. I hope everybody's enjoying tonight's content. Like I said, we got this all weekend. We got Monday night stuff. We got Tuesday night stuff. Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Saturday and Sunday night. And any night that we do not broadcast here at Freaky Fast Sam is actually Friday night. Other than that, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we are on our way to 1K. We're very close to that number, so we do much appreciate everybody out there on iRacing Live that's tuning in, or just on the YouTube in general that tune in every week. But yeah, I mean, we're looking here now, Sam, and we got drivers making pit stops early. This is my whole shuffleboard is messed up right now. Be honest with you.
Nathan Soren, who was about to go a lap down with that of It's Johnson on his back bumper is right now our leader, 60 laps on his tires. And yes, the two did get caught speeding. Danny Cochran still into pit road. He is leaving now, finding himself 2 laps down, has been passed possibly here by the drivers that were on a completely different strategy, were caught already a lap down. It is disastrous for a lot of these drivers that were hoping not to be caught with penalties, but we're still waiting for the 05 to come into pit road. Leading the drivers that have already pitted was that of Nick Crawford, but Crawford, he has been caught by Johnson. Johnson on the back bumper of the 11, trying to make the pass for second.
Yeah, and that Johnson should be able to make a pass on his teammate there, Nick Crawford, pretty easy. I don't see why not. Nick pitted a little bit sooner, but I'm telling you, James Trimble there, he's like, guys, I can't let you go by easy. If you want by, you got to race me.
It's going to be hard battles going on. Driver still trying to pick and choose. Zach Hall, who I thought was going to be one of the first cars. He overshoots again for the 32.
Oh, my goodness.
He was one of the drivers that stayed out the furthest, and issues coming into pit road. Oh, no, it continues on. It's Tom Sinchek. We're still waiting for a lot of these drivers that are currently still 1 lap down. They were hoping and banking that by staying out, they would be the first car lap down, but with that of Nathan Soren still out there, has not come into pit road. And Crawford's trying to catch up to the 05.
Look at the run that Brian Johnson gets through the center of 1 and 2 there. Right back on the tail end of his teammate, Nick, going into 3 and 4. He's going to back it down just a little bit and get that thing to rotate, and he's going to try to get the run coming off of 4. He's going to look down to turn number 1 here on the inside there, Sam, and side by side, and off he goes, and now he's going to be going after Sora here, Nathan, which is about 3 seconds away.
Kyle Rochelle gets dinged with the penalty for the 1. He was in a great position to possibly challenge for a win, but because of a penalty, I believe he might have been caught speeding off of exit, had to come back in to serve a holding penalty. The 1 currently 3 laps down when he was on the lead lap, leaving us currently with a total of 7 drivers on the lead lap. As Soren is slow, and he's got to be careful as he's got Johnson right on his back bumper.
And watch Johnson, he's going to blow right by him going into 1. There is nothing Nathan can do there. So now he's going to take over the lead here, and if we look on our ticker right now here, Sam, it is looking, you can see our playoff drivers are running in 1st position. Then we got Jesse out there running in 5th position. We got Sean, the professor, in the 94 running in 6th position. And then we look down through the rest of the field as I got to wait for the ticker to go by because I just got to wait for it to rotate.
Yeah, I mean, everyone else is a lap down or more. It's not looking good for the rest of the other drivers. 13th is the next one with Danny Cochran, who's currently 2 laps down, and he is trapped 2 laps down as the rest of the field is already pitted. It's not looking good for a lot of them because for Jesse Thordick, he still needs to pit for the 14, which would put him 2 laps down. We're still also waiting for that of Morales as well as Tom Sinchek to come into pit road. They've been trying to stretch it as long as they can. But for that of Kyle Rochelle, Danny Cochran, they were in great positions to finish on the lead lap, but pitting errors under green flag scenario has put them multiple laps down. And what was looking like a great top 5, top 10 finish for both of them, now outside of the top 10, outside of the top 12 is that of Danny Cochran. I mean, we got Danny Cochran in 13th. Then you got Cedric Hunter in 15th. Kyle Rochelle in 17th. Zach Hall in 18th. I mean, we're seeing a lot of these drivers that were looking and poised from what we've been seeing for most of the regular season, entering the round 1. Drivers that have been finishing up in the top 10, top 5, struggling here and putting themselves in a hole. But you got to be feeling comfortable and confident. Sean Hutzstutler, he was one of the 3 drivers that I kind of put on note. For Danny Cochran, Max Boner, and Sean Hutzstutler, they all 3 had similar stats coming into this round, and all 3 of them I kind of put in. They needed to find some speed. Top 5 speed would have been the most preferred to give themselves a buffer going into Talladega, and that's exactly what we're seeing from Sean Hutzstutler, matching what I was hoping for and hitting the marks that we knew that the 94 had throughout a lot of season 2 last season. He hadn't been showing that pace for the 94 for a lot, but once it counts and it matters, Sean Hutzneller, 5th position, great job for himself.
Yes, he's a great run, like you just noted there, Sam. And we watch him in other leagues, and he's a very, very clean driver. We actually seen him on Wednesday night actually win a season opener in the Xfinity cars at Daytona. So he does got the knack. He does got a win at a super speedway, a super speedway. So we'll have to see what his game plan is going into Talladega, because some drivers are going for the win. Some are going to try to point their way in. See, now we can't get off subject that everybody's going to think you're going into Talladega just for a win, because it all depends on where you fall on this race is how many points you're going to get, where you might be able to point yourself in with a top 10 or a top 7, you know, without getting that win. It all depends. I mean, there's going to be a lot of storylines to talk next week.
I mean, looking at the way the drivers came into this, I mean, 4th in points down to the last place driver, there's only a 6-point difference between those guys, and that was the 4th place driver being Cedric Hunter. Hunter is not having a great showing for himself. I mean, currently in 18th place. He's one of the more drivers that are further back from our playoff drivers, which is going to be shrinking the field closer to one another going into Talladega. We could be seeing 4th down to that of 8th place going into next week. Just a difference of anything from 3 to 4 points going into Talladega, which those positions can be gained or lost very quickly at a track where it's all about utilizing the draft, finding your teammates, and one false move could ruin your race.
Exactly. Oh, as we got the 24 into the wall, he corrects it and keeps it green. Does not bring out a yellow or get into the professor there, which he probably got nervous.
It's still, I mean, really, I would be terrified with that type of a move being caught up by a driver. But for the 24, Martin Morales, he is still out there, still needing to pit. One of the last drivers that needs to pit, as well as Nathan Soren. Soren, right now, has been out here for 78 laps on this set of tires and fuel. Most likely we're going to be seeing this 05 at a pit road in the next 3 laps, but he's got to be careful not to have any issues. I went back and tried to count all the drivers that have had issues coming into pit road. There are at least 6 drivers that have either been caught speeding or found themselves sliding and hitting the barriers on just this stint alone, making this green flag pit stop. I mean, disasters as that of Adam Westfield. He hit the barriers, got himself in trouble. Ryan Ferraro got caught speeding. Caught speeding was that of Cedric Hunter. Also having pit road incidents was Kyle Rochelle. Other drivers that we saw having issues, that being of Danny Cochran, caught speeding. I mean, it just continues to pile on, and the question is, will Nathan Soren be able to survive, and that of Martin Morales coming into pit road?
Well, if I was Nathan, we're got 17 to go. We're getting pretty close there. But if I was at 05, I'd pay attention here, Sam. He's gonna blow a tire. I mean, I'm shocked that he hasn't yet, to be honest with you.
Nathan Soren is long. Yeah, he's banking on a caution coming out, because he's one of the last drivers that are inside of the top, well, inside of the lead, being on the lead lap, that has a set left, as well as that of James Tremmel. Tremmel, he is banking on this race that either have a caution here late, because he's still got a set left. Our top 3 do not have a set of tires left in pit road. If a late caution comes out, we might only have about 8 drivers on the lead lap going into if we have a late wreck, because we're in the trend zone now.
Well, and you don't want to be the yellow, as right now you can see Nathan, that car is just wicked loose. I hope he don't blow a tire, to be honest with you. That's just my main worriment right now. I get what he's trying to do, but it becomes very hazardous, you know what I mean? As here comes Tom, he's going to look up underneath him. He says, me, coming through, move over.
Frustration from Tom Sinchek, because that's not the first time that we've seen these drivers have an incident with one another. Back in New Hampshire, finishing out the regular season, we saw that Tom Sinchek be collected by the 05 of Nathan Soren, but Soren still out on track. Morales did pit that last time by, and Looks like he will not have any issues, hopefully, for himself, but we'll wait and see on his times as we still wait for one more driver to pit, and it looks like he's coming in now. Nathan Soren, he's on the apron. He's trying to get on pit road cleanly, and everyone else, for our front three, they're banking on this race to stay green. But for some of the drivers further back, James Tremmel to be the biggest really surprise. The 20 could snuff out a for sure lock-in for that of Brian Johnson if a late yellow comes out.
Oh, yeah. Right now, you don't want to see a yellow because we've seen new tires versus old tires. We noted before about 1.5 to 2 second difference on speed, on lap times. That's huge, and it's only going to take a lap or two, even with the green-white checkered. A lap or two, if they can work traffic and get through it really fast, Sam, they can take away Brian Johnson's guaranteed locked in to the final four. This is what that 28's running for right now. He played the strategy. He's hoping the strategy works, and he played, like Zach Hall likes to say, the lottery on tires. And right now, the lottery is at 10 to go. He does not want to see a yellow.
Trying to get win number 7 for himself. Also would be his 10th top 5 and top 10. Brian Johnson has been Mr. just up front, winning, dominating. He might not have been winning these last 2 weeks, but certainly has shown to have the speed and the pace to have the winning pace for their win. It's just luck that we look for some of these drivers, but now we're seeing some drivers that stayed out later, that of Soren as well as Morales, that are coming with a lot of speed. Those two got to be careful not to run over the drivers around them with the extreme pace they're going to be having. Anywhere from 15 laps fresher tires to over 35 to 37 lap pressure tires. The 05 as well as the 24, they're going to be screaming around this field.
Yeah, and if I was Brian Johnson, I would just move out of the way, let him take the inside, let him have it, don't race him. And that's what he's going to do. He's playing a strategy game now. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to deal with that right now.
Here also comes Brandon Colley, who's on fresher rubber for the 42, who found his race going up in smoke early on with a self spin after bouncing off the wall in the first 20 laps of this race. For that, Brandon Colley, this race he wants to scrub out of his mind quickly and hopes to get to Talladega as fast as possible.
Very true, very true. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed tonight's content here with the NAISCC Cup Series. I know me and Sam had a lot to talk about, and we're talking about here at Dover International Speedway with all these strategies that are going on and a lot of playoff talk. And you're going to hear that in the next week. There's going to be a lot of playoff talk until we get to the Final Four, and there's only going to be 4 vehicles out there running for position. It doesn't matter if you get the win or not. Well, it does, but your goal is to finish in front of the 3 cars that you're battling with. So we'll have to see how this all plays out, as it looks like if everything goes the way it should here, Sam, Cat 5 is going to lock their way in. First time running in the season with these guys into the Final Four. But who will be the other 3 vehicles to lock themselves in? Well, from the looks of it, you're going to have to tune in next week to find out.
Yeah, I mean, Category 5 counts into tonight's race with a total of 10 wins over the 14 races that have ran so far this season coming into Dover. I mean, winning 10 out of 14, incredible by a team, and now looking to get race number 11 with today's race counting out of 15 races. If this race stays green, 3 laps to go, coming to 2 to go when he crosses the line for that of Brian Johnson. And if he gets the white flag, this race will conclude. But if a yellow comes on while we're on lap number 2, we go to overtime. Brian Johnson hoping that the trend ends today and we go green. 2 laps to go. The stress level is high for the 28 as he's got a lot of lap cars in front of him. He doesn't want to see anyone wreck.
He does not, as he takes it out of turn 2, bringing it down the backstretch. He's going to take it nice and easy. He's not going to fight nobody. No need to fight anybody. Just run your race as he comes out of turn 4, Sam. And it's all yours, the final lap of tonight's event.
Brian Johnson dominating, the most laps led coming into tonight. He's got a little bit of lap traffic he's got to be worrying about, but the white flag in the air, it's going to be Ryan Bird and Zach Hall that they're slicing and dicing, trying not to be too much of a concern as Brian Johnson through 3 and 4 continues to extend his winning record with win number 7 here at Dover and punching his ticket into our championship 4. Brian Johnson, the biggest threat of all the drivers this season. He's in our championship 4, and everyone knows who the top dog is.
That is right. Congratulations to Cat 5. Congratulations to Nick Crawford for running second. Mark Whitley's going to bring it home here in third position. James Trimble, what a great run by that 20 vehicle. Bravo's top 4 might not have been a win, but you know what? Take that top 4, man, and walk away. Great showing for him. And then also in that 5, and then starting there in finishing in 6th position. Great run for the professor there, playoff driver. And Bird is going to wind up in 7th position. Great run for him, too. Thomas, 57. Great run for him, too. Look at Jesse there, Sam, finishing 10th position. We got 2 playoff drivers, 9th and 10th. Great position. I mean, we've seen ups and downs here, but wow. Very interesting race.
I mean, going into the first round, my notes for both James Tremmel and for that of Dakota Moniz was they had 0 top 5s throughout this whole entire season. Both of them getting their first top 5 here at Dover. It was a little bit of strategy call being thrown out here, and it works out for both that of the 20 and the 5, getting a 4th and 5th place finish for themselves. But we will step aside and we will talk coming right back. We've got that of Brian Johnson, as well as Nick Crawford and Mark Whitley to talk to. We'll be back in just a few. Playoff racing here for the NAISCC Cup Series, the round of 8 to figure out these 8 drivers that will be moving on to the Championship 4. Well, we know one of them. That is going to be Brian Johnson, winning here at Dover and finishing 2nd and 3rd. Second's going to be that of Nick Crawford. Third's going to be Mark Whitley. We're going to be starting off our interviews with 3rd place runner, that of Mark Whitley. Mark, it's Sam up in the booth. You got me?
Gotcha.
Well, Mark, certainly tonight was a lot of pressure for a lot of these drivers. We saw the Championship 8 driving everywhere, but this was a unique race with that early caution, putting everyone off sequence. What made you feel like you needed to come in pit road then?
Well, I just kind of figured, I did the math, and if you split it out, it would have been about 45 laps per set of tires, and that was about 20. And I was like, well, I mean, it's kind of early, but I figured in fresh tires, the tires are falling off, and I was backing up to everybody, so I figured I didn't really have anything to lose, and hopefully it went green. Me and Brian went kind of dicing through the field pretty good there, and we got out front and just kind of stayed there, and eventually Nick got there. But yeah, the whole race, I felt good on the short run. Long run, though, I just didn't have the speed that Brian and Nick did. This track, I don't know, I've always had issues with just burning the tires off, so I didn't get a lot of practice. I only got in about 10 minutes before the race starts, so I feel like that's pretty good for getting only about 10 minutes of practice. Especially this level of competition, I'll take third every night. That was oof.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the biggest thing for a lot of you guys that were on the lead lap and on fresher rubber at most of this race, how was it getting through that lap traffic as it seemed like it was chaotic from our point of view?
Oh yeah, it was definitely kind of you were getting your elbows out just trying to get up on the steering wheel. I know at the beginning of that when we pitted, me and Brian, the high side was just crazy. You could almost wide open around the high side. So it was just try to get around everybody on the outside and just don't run anybody over because the closing rate on new tires, I mean, you could just get off the corner so much better. It was 15, 20 mile an hour faster. So you had to be real careful not to run over anybody. It was, I don't know what it looked like, but it felt pretty hectic and nerve wracking, but it worked out in the end.
Oh, we certainly were feeling that up in the booth, and I would imagine the audience was as well. Well, Mark, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Oh yeah, I'm just glad a caution didn't come out with two to go like last Sunday. Is all I'm gonna say. Give a quick shout out to my family tuning in. Gotta thank them and for y'all putting on this great broadcast. Can't wait to go back and watch it.
Absolutely. Mark Whitley in the 77 getting the third place here tonight. Congratulations on that finish. And good luck next week at Talladega, as well as good luck tomorrow as we get to watch you racing for SRU.
Thanks, Sam.
As now we're going to be bringing in that of Nick Crawford. Nick certainly tried his best, but coming up 9 seconds short. Nick, get Sam up in the booth. You got me?
I got you.
Well, Nick, I mean, what a race it was here tonight, here at Dover. It seemed like it was all about that first pit stop on our first caution. I asked the same question to Mark. I'll ask it to you. What made you think you had to come into pit road then?
I saw Brian turn left. Brian's been doing pretty good this season, so once he turned left to go on pit road, I figured it was a good idea. And then it was a long first stage, so there's been a history of tires going flat with these setups, so I was not going to take that chance. I'd rather get caught on a late caution in the stage and deal with it later instead of blowing a tire.
You guys being so off sequence, it seemed like dealing with traffic or lap traffic at that was something you always had in your in front of your guys' window. How was it for you though, getting through all this traffic?
On that initial restart, I think once the first caution came out, on that restart, it was a little bit tough. I think I was following Dakota for a little bit there, and then Brian and Mark got away. But it's really just about planning the passes, planning when to let them go if they're faster. So just figuring out when to do that and not get yourself in trouble, especially off four. There was not a lot of grip off of four today.
Yeah, and we also saw that you were one of the first of the drivers that pitted on the ones that were on the lead lap. What made you think that pitting earlier and undercutting was the best strategy for yourself?
Well, Brian was fast. He was fast on the short run. I could kind of match him on the short run, and then towards the end of the run, he was still faster. I was hoping that I could get far enough away from him to make a difference, but he pit maybe 3 or 4 laps later, and then he came up quick. So tires are big. Whether it's 2, 3, 4 laps, it makes a big difference. But it's just kind of seeing if I could do anything because he was just a faster overall.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, still a great run, second place for yourself. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
I just want to shout out my dad. We lost him a few weeks ago, and we've all been hurting. I want to thank everyone for the support. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for putting on a show here, letting me race here. Thank my teammates and everything. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, Nick, we're sorry for your loss, but still a great finish here tonight. Second place, Nick Crawford in the 11. Second place here at Dover. And good luck next week, Nick.
Thank you guys.
As the man that's been dominating all season long gets win number 7, Brian Johnson. He does it again. Brian, you broke the record that we've been, the curse you could say, that we've been seeing for most of the season. There was no late caution when you were probably crossing your fingers that there would be no caution there with 15 laps to go.
Oh man, you got no idea. I was just waiting for it to come out and, all of, because if the caution comes out, I lose because I had no more tires from the beginning. I decided to put all my eggs in one basket and hope for the best, but that's exactly what happened. So yeah, got that ticket to Homestead or Phoenix. I don't even know where the last race is, but don't have to worry about Talladega next week, and that's the big thing.
Well, we're going to be going to Homestead. You've punched your ticket. You're moving forward and racing there. But here tonight, I even said it when I saw most of the field coming into pit road on lap 30. It looked like deja vu of Las Vegas, where we saw you have a great run there, being off sequence from some of the other top drivers. Were you surprised that no one else of your teammates coming into pit road with you there?
I mean, I kind of was because I ran 40 laps in practice, and now granted, I mean, I was kind of pushing the car as hard as it could go just to see where the limits were, and I ran 40 laps, and my right sides were like 40%, 40 something and 60 something percent, and so I'm like, man, the first stage is at lap 80. I don't, these tires ain't gonna make it. And Cedric had said the on the practice race on Thursday that he did all 80 laps and didn't have a problem. And I'm like, man, I don't trust these tire wear percentages. So went in and got tires, and yeah, you're right. It was a little bit of deja vu, fortunately for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the drivers are a lot closer of those that are the ones behind you trying to get into the championship round. Going into Talladega, that weight is now lifted off of you. But do you feel like there's now pressure to try to help one of your teammates go into the championship round, or are you feeling still pretty calm going into Talladega?
I mean, definitely getting this win and not having to worry about points next week at Talladega is huge. And just the way that Category 5 kind of operates our plate track strategy, we were going to be helping each other as much as we could anyway. So nothing is really going to change next week other than, I probably won't be at the front of the Category 5 line. Um, but yeah, the key next week is just try to get as many other Category 5 drivers into the Final Four. And but yeah, you guys have no idea how much I hate Talladega, and so to not have to worry about the points next week is huge.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Brian, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just want to shout out my teammate and good friend Nick Crawford. He had a great run tonight, which is good for him because I listened to his interview, so y'all know the deal. And so that was fantastic for him. Finished second, and just got to thank you guys for putting on a great show as always. Everybody that tuned in, and then all the guys over here at the league and the guys that run it do a great job. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Ryan Johnson in the 28 gets win number 7, now having 10 top 5s, top 10s, and has now punched his ticket into the championship race in Homestead in 2 weeks. Brian, congratulations, and go have a fun one here tonight celebrating this win.
Thank you, sir.
Well, here tonight, Robert kind of ran through our top 10, but we'll take a look at our unofficial results. As we're looking at our results, I'm also going to touch on the points because I told everyone it was going to close up, and it did. For our drivers from 2nd to 7th in points, they are in a difference of only 7 points between 2nd to 7th. Then there's an 18-point gap from Max Foner to 4th place, that being Sean Hutzstutler. But for that of Max Foner, it could have been a lot bigger. He's going to be in a very slim shot to point his way into the next round. Most likely is going to have to win for that 52 team, which he's going to need a lot of help from that Max Motorsports group. If that group shows up as a whole, most likely Max is going to be having to find some other friends out there. But I mean, looking at the final results, we only had that of 7 drivers on the lead lap,
Yeah.
and everyone else a lap or more a lap down. So, Robert, it was dramatic, but looking at this field, I mean, it's going to be taking a lot from a lot of these playoff drivers that are further back to try to rebound from this, but they're still extremely close.
Very close. And, the thing about this whole thing here ending tonight's broadcast, and you talked about and noted on the points being 7 points, that's only 7 positions. So you could be running in 2nd and fall back to 8th at a super speedway, and that could knock you right out of the Final Four, or you can drop back to 6th and be in the Final Four. It all depends on how many cars show up next week, as it is Talladega, so that can play a factor in it. Like you said with Max in that 51 machine, he's gonna have to, depending on how many people show up, Sam, I don't think you see him pointing his way in 18 points behind. He's just got to go for the win, all for nothing. I mean, he's the one that's going to go all for nothing. The other ones, oh man, I'm telling you, man, this is going to get very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long season, and it now comes down to crunch time for these guys. One more race to make the Final Four at Homestead to end this season here. It's been one well of a season with these guys. We've seen some ups, we've seen some downs, we've seen Cat 5 dominate half this season. We've seen RS Racing get their wins in there and battle them hard. We've seen Vincent give them a run for their money. So I know season 4 is going to be very interesting, which is going to be coming up in probably in a month or so. Their season 4 will be kicking off here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But then this season 3, man, I don't know what to say, Sam. What's your final thoughts here before we sign off here from Dover International Speedway, man?
Yeah, I mean, tonight was all about that gamble. With 30 laps into this race, we had our first caution and our only on-track incident that brought out a yellow. But man, it was all about making sure that you made that gamble, as well as you didn't have any mistakes going into pit road. There were over 12 or more incidences of drivers having issues getting into pit road under our 2 green flag pit stop stages that we got to see during stage 1 and for the final 100 laps of this race. You got to clean that up. Going to Talladega, a place where if you miss your pit entry or miss your box, your race is over even more. You cannot be making those same mistakes going to Talladega, but Talladega, it is wide open for a lot of these drivers. Brian Johnson, we know he's locked in. The other 3 drivers inside of their top 4, Kyle Rochelle, Zach Hall, and Sean Hutzstutler. With 1 point away in 5th place is Danny Cochran. 3 points out is Cedric Hunter. 4 points out from making it into our Final Four is Jesse Thordick. And then you find that a Max Foner, who's going to be 18 points out of making it into our Final Four. A lot of work needs to be done for the 51 team, but it is all coming down to Super Speedway Racing, where it's going to be a lot of strategies as well on how drivers attack that Super Speedway course.
That is correct. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, here from the virtual side of Dover International Speedway, the Monster Mile, here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting and the NAISCC Cup Series, me, Robert A. Moyer, Sam Dyer, we want to say, everybody, we'll catch everybody tomorrow night. If not, make sure you hit that subscribe button and you like this video so you don't miss any of that action call race next week at Talladega Super Speedway, where, man, you can win it on pit road, you can lose it on pit road, or you can just get wrecked out, period. But make sure you tune in next Saturday for that as we go live with them guys at Talladega at 8:50. But like I said, for Sam Dyer and Robert Moyer, we want to tell everybody, have a great weekend. God bless everybody. We love you all. Peace out.